Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel Behind the Blue Line Retired. Man, I wanted to share a story. One of my friends, Mr. Greg, he's a retired lieutenant out of Lumberton PD in Lumberton, North Carolina. And you've seen some of my stories about the doom and gloom, about the devilment at night and the evil that's out there. And the way he was telling me that part of town, there's a Pepsi plant and there's a couple of plants and there's an old railroad track that run through that would serve those places, especially the bottling company. And one night he said it was real quiet and the train was coming through, and the dispatch happened to get a call from the actual train engineer. Said there was a lady slumped over a tree stump or something out here. So I was passing by. So Mr. Greg, him being the supervisor, he was close by. He went over there. And the way he was telling me, and the county I live in, first of all, we got a lot of indigenous people, mostly females, man, that disappear and meet a horrible fate. And I'm telling you, it ain't right, man. A lot of these people need justice. It's crazy. But he said when he arrived, it was a female, Native American female, positioned on a tree stump, nude, no clothes on. And whoever the person was and took a tree branch or stick and shoved it up in her privates. You know. Of course, he had to call CSI, to come out there and rope the area off. And that area that he was talking about has always been a real bad area. A lot of people that have disappeared in that area. We got 3 other females that are deceased and were unlived in that area, and to this day it's still unsolved, as well as the one that Mr. Greg had found. And you got to wonder what's going through the minds of these people that commit these heinous acts. You don't know, you're not a psychiatrist or anything of that nature, but it makes you wonder how can people, do another person like that? What's their reasoning behind it? Do they feel like this person won't be missed, or this person is not important to society, that they've got to do these horrendous things, And another story, when I was working the town of Red Springs, this is back in the early 90s, the evil that roams around at night, man, is unbelievable. But there was an old white house just as you enter in the city of Red Springs, there on 71, coming out of Shannon. The big house was on the right, and the elderly lady used to live there. And she was one of these at night, she turned all the lights off, and she would walk around her house at night, and she would use the flashlight. And I remember Levi Powers was the police chief back then. And we had certain neighborhoods and close around that area. And the one was called the Pecan Orchard. That was just what everybody called it. But sometime during the night, boy broke in on that old lady and beat her, and essentially beat her to death, caused her death. She was found later on. I can't remember how she was found. I think somebody hadn't heard from her and they wanted to check on her, and they eventually found her. So, and I remember the case because it was so violent. I mean, the acts were so violent, just unreal. And keep in mind, I work a job where we go in. We have to take pictures. We have to do the evidence. We have to conserve the scene, and the whole nine. So. And those situations happen if you, in a small department, you're essentially working around the clock because you got to cover your shift. And it was so horrendous that everybody in town, they were scared. And I can't blame them. So the chief organized us in some tight groups. He said, you guard this neighborhood, you stay in that neighborhood, and you ride. And you flash them lights and you look. And Detective Ben Smith, he stayed up all around the clock and worked that case till he got it solved. And eventually, I think they found a suspect in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's close to the beach. So he had left the area. And I remember the elderly lady was a Burns woman. I can't remember who the suspect was. But that's just how bad it is. You see these shows, the first 48 and all this, and that's how it was. You got that case, especially if you were a detective, you didn't sleep. You got out there and you worked that case, and you worked it. And Ben was good. Ben was a darn good detective, man. That's one thing. He was a good detective, man. He was just like an old bloodhound or something. He worked that case. He got it solved. So, but that gives you some ideas of what happens at night, the kind of people that roam around all night. But, I've always said that real life is a whole lot more scarier than any scary movie that you're ever going to see, So, but you like what you see in here, hit like and subscribe. And my stories, I like to tell them. They're true stories and stories of what I've experienced. And some of my buddies, if they share their story, I'll come on my channel and I'll share it. And I like to keep away from saying victims' names and stuff too much unless it's, very important to me or something that's unsolved. So, with that in mind, hey man, y'all have a good one, man. And we'll see you the next time. Shine, yeah.